Barno, a small town in Belgium, so small that it is not even on the map. During the time of Hitler's rise to power, an 11-year-old girl named Mariette was experiencing something that made no news. Mariette was born on March 25, 1921, the Feast of the Annunciation. Despite being Catholic, her father had not been near a church in years and did not care whether his children went to church or not. Nevertheless, Mariette did keep a rosary she had found and on occasion held it as she prayed while going to sleep. On January 15, 1933, Mariette was looking out the kitchen window, hoping to see her brother Julian coming home. It was cold outside and the ground was covered with snow. As she stared out into the dark, she saw a lady standing in the yard. The lady was surrounded by a bright light and was very beautiful. She was wearing a long white gown with a blue sash. She was also standing barefoot, and there was a gold rose between the toes of her feet. Mariette noticed the lady was not standing directly on the ground, but somewhat above it. The lady then used her hand and motioned Mariette to go to her. Mariette rationalized that what she was seeing didn't make any sense. She thought it might be a reflection in an oil lamp. So she moved the lamp into another room. When she went back to the window, the lady was still waiting for her. She called her mum and told her what she was seeing, but her mother shook her head and said it was rubbish. Mariette kept insisting, but her mother mocked her, saying it was probably the Blessed Virgin, before closing the curtain and walking away. Mariette then pulled the curtain open and told her mother to look outside again, saying the woman was beautiful and wanted her to go out. Her mother didn't allow her to go out and told the little girl to quit with the nonsense and lock the door. When Mariette went back to the window, the lady was gone. She remembered how the lady had a rosary hanging from her sash and how she was holding the beads. So she went to her room and found her hidden rosary and began to pray. When her brother Julian arrived home, she told him what happened, but he just laughed at her, calling her a fool. 3 days later, at about 7 p.m., Mariette suddenly ran from the house and her father ran after her. She ran around the yard and suddenly fell to her knees. The lady was now facing her from about a yard away. Despite not seeing the lady, her father, watching from behind a tree, was mesmerized by the scene. The lady signaled Mariette to follow her and she got off her knees and did. Her father followed, but Mariette suddenly stopped and fell to her knees again. The lady stood next to a spring and told Mariette to put her hands in the water. She said the fountain was reserved for her before saying goodnight, then fading away. Amazingly, Mariette's father, who never saw the lady, was transformed and went to confession so he could go back to Mass and communion. The Blessed Mother appeared 8 times to Mariette, the last one being on March 2nd, 1933. During these apparitions, Mariette was told by the Blessed Mother that she was the Virgin of the poor and the fountain was reserved for all nations to bring comfort to the sick. In 1942, the Bishop of Liege, Belgium, approved the veneration of Mary under the title of Our Lady of the Poor. 5 years later, approval for the apparitions came from the Holy See, and in 1949, under Pope Pius XII, it was declared definite. After the apparitions, Mariette decided to remain a private person, leading a private life with her family. In 2008, when asked for a statement on the 75th anniversary of the apparitions, she explained she was no more than a postman who delivers the mail, and that once it had been done, the postman is of no importance anymore. Today, a small chapel stands where the Blessed Mother is said to have requested it to be built.